Hey, good afternoon. I'm John Rhoads. This is Rhoads Life Coaching. I have a kind of a curious question for you, and it's in two parts. First is one, how do you define yourself? And that's a very broad philosophical question, but how do you define yourself? What criteria do you use? And then the second part of my question is how many of those criteria, based on how you're defining yourself, are from previous experiences? Are you defining yourself based on the past? And this came up in a conversation earlier this week for me, and it kind of struck me as something poignant because I would argue that the vast majority of us define almost all of our perception of ourselves based on previous experiences. And the subtlety in that is that for most of us, we still have future experiences that have not been defined yet. For some of us, we may have many, many more experiences that haven't been defined, and that those are not being calculated into the equation of how you define yourself. When we fill out a resume, when we create a job application, when we go into an interview, we rattle off all the things that we have done based on previous experiences, but don't necessarily include what could the potential future be of where you want to go and what you want to build. When we go into a new relationship, or when we're in between relationships, or we're creating new friendships, we tend to define ourselves based on the previous experiences and sometimes get caught up in not wanting to define ourselves or think that we will be penalized or defined based on those previous relationships. We don't factor in the potential for new relationships and new experiences that are just as valuable, even though they haven't happened yet. It's kind of a weird thing, and it might be difficult to wrap our heads around quantifying what that is, but just the realization that there is a significant portion of your life, all of your future, that hasn't been articulated yet, that still is included in the definition of who you are and how you experience yourself. Take some time and think about that. Your visions and dreams and hopes and goals can all be included inside your experience of yourself, how you define yourself. How would that change how you engage the world? There's still more to be experienced, and that is as valuable as the previous stuff. Take some time to think about that. Where are you limiting your definition of yourself based on only those previous experiences, and how can you expand your definition by including all of the future things that you haven't found yet? I'd be happy to continue that conversation. That is a very coachable thing and a very exciting thing for me in my coaching practice. But what does that look like for you, and what do you need in terms of continuing and expanding that definition? I'd be happy to continue that conversation. I'd be happy to address any questions or comments you have below. I'm John Rhoads. This is Rhoads Life Coaching. I hope you're able to find purpose and meaning in daily life.